beautiful people, welcome back to my channel. The clip at the beginning of this video is my mom, my beautiful, resilient, strong mother, talking about my sister's disappearance, Jessie Grace Moore, who went missing from Wenatchee, Washington on June 20th of 2016, and how even though at the time of my sister's disappearance she was a drug addict and was struggling with mental health issues, that doesn't matter. That does not matter. She deserves to be looked for. She is worthy to be looked for, and people should care. Yeah? Okay. So, my mom is standing on the very stage that Jessie was sitting on in a video I have talked about before, and it's of the day she went missing, June 20th, 2016. And the man recording the video is making fun of her, belittling her, humiliating her, and degrading her. And it's very hard to watch. I'm going to add a clip, a small clip of what I find appropriate. And it's extremely hard for me to watch. As many of you know, I have shared that in the past.
Shut up.
Who cut your hair? Who gave you a...
Yeah. Let's chop your fuck up. It's not like...
You just cut your hair like that? Girl, stop it.
I look so pretty.
It's cute. Oh, it's cute. I think if you look, you can pull it off, what is it? The Stone Cold Steve Austin.
This might come to a surprise to everyone, but you're not perfect. I'm not perfect. No one's perfect. And no one deserves to go missing. No one deserves to be assaulted. No one deserves anything, and I just want to make that really clear. And the guy in that video making fun of her, I just want to say he seems like he's deeply hurting to make fun of someone like that, and it's really unfortunate that that is the last, I guess, evidence we have of Jessie, because she started walking southbound on Wenatchee Avenue away from him because he was being so mean to her in the video. And you can clearly tell in the video she is mentally sick. Her head is shaved. So we've discussed all of that, and I'll link my first video below about her head being shaved and the 13 lines shaved into her head, and then the letters SIC shaved on the other side. And it's hard for us to watch, for sure. We don't want to remember her like that at all. Every missing person that is met with foul play deserves justice, and their family deserves answers. Today I will be discussing the disappearance of Cynthia Jane Marl, who went missing from Wenatchee, Washington. And you're probably thinking that, wow, there's 2 missing women from Wenatchee. I thought there was just one, being my sister. But no, there's actually 2. And I discovered this because there was an article about Jessie from a while ago, and I kind of randomly decided to click on it, and it said, still seeking answers for 2 Wenatchee women. I don't know if that's what it says verbatim. Alright, you guys, here's that article I was talking about. It says search continues for 2 missing Wenatchee women, and there's Cynthia's name there, picture of Jessie, information on Jess, another picture, and it doesn't say anything about Cynthia, but this video does talk about Cynthia very shortly, explaining that there's really no leads as of right now. And I felt compelled to share her story with all of you guys because I am such a person that believes the universe is always giving you signs, and if you listen close enough, you might be led in a certain direction. So that's why I decided to talk about her case. So let's get into it. Cynthia is described as being a devoted mother who would do anything for her son Jared and anything for her animals. She was the kind of mom that when her friends came over, they were expected to stay for dinner. She was just like that kind of mama bear. And she's described as being the kind of woman that spoke her mind regardless of what anyone thought. She was going to tell you her opinion. You could take it or leave it. From what I've heard, she was a really, really special woman. Cynthia was 45 years old when she went missing from Wenatchee, Washington on March 19th of 2005. Her and her son were living together at the time, and she had injured her shoulder previously and was awaiting surgery. At the time of her disappearance, she was going to school to become a veterinarian. At around 8:30 p.m. on March 19th, Cynthia left to go to Walmart for about 45 minutes. She told her son she was just going to run some errands. She would be back soon. And she set out in her dark green Plymouth Voyager from their house on South Delaware. Cynthia would not return that night, and when morning came, March 20th, Jared knew something was seriously wrong. So he contacted police and said, could you help me locate my mother? This is so unlike her to be gone overnight, especially. At the time of her disappearance, Cynthia had a very ill dog that needed to be attended to constantly, and Jared knew she would not just up and leave her dog for any reason, much less leave him. Jared contacted police that morning. They said he had to wait 72 hours to report Cynthia as a missing person because she was an adult. Jared was furious because I think he knew in his gut that something serious had happened to her. This was super unlike her, super not something she would do. She would never leave her dog or him. I just want to add a little side note. I checked Washington state law when I was looking into Cynthia's case, and as of 2019, you do not have to have any wait period to report someone missing. So if you call any police department and you feel in your gut that something has happened to your loved one, they may try to deter you from filing a missing persons report. Stick to your gut. If you really feel like something happened to your loved one, file that missing persons report. There is no 72-hour period, no 48-hour period as of right now. 2 detectives arrived at Jared's house shortly after he made the second call to the police department and reported Cynthia as a missing person. And he was completely floored by how he was treated by law enforcement. They kind of started grilling him right away and implying that he had something to do with Cynthia's disappearance because he had had a DUI 4 years prior and legally owned firearms. Jared couldn't even believe he was considered a suspect because he's the one who had called the police department, wanted so desperately to report her as a missing person. Also, police did not seem interested in looking into any of the leads that Jared was suggesting to them about where Cynthia might be. And I cannot imagine that frustration, knowing in your gut that something has happened to your mother and they're honing in on you, but you could be like, okay, I understand, maybe I could be a suspect, but go look other places as well. Don't just focus on me. So I can't imagine that frustration and feeling like the clock is ticking on any missing persons case. About a week later, Cynthia's van was found in a Walmart parking lot in Ephrata, Washington, which is about 50 miles from Wenatchee. Cynthia's van had been wiped down with gasoline, and all of her belongings within the van were taken out, disposed of, we're not sure. And there were no leads indicating where Cynthia might be. There were no leads in Cynthia's disappearance until 2009 when a man named Scott Bates was shot to death trying to break into someone's home. Police came forward after the death of Scott Bates and said he had been a suspect in Cynthia's disappearance. An informant told police that at the time of Cynthia's disappearance, she was selling pills and Scott Bates wanted to rob her. The informant also told police that Bates intended to have Marl come to his residence and that Bates, who has martial arts experience, planned to kick Marl in the head and that he would then put 2 plastic bags over her head in case there was blood or to suffocate her if needed. I have spoken with Cynthia's son Jared, and he believes wholeheartedly that Scott Bates killed his mother and robbed her. This is such a sad story and an unfortunate story of someone taken way too soon. Jared also said that he felt his mother's case was kind of put on the back burner by police and wasn't taken that seriously. And I really resonated with him on that because I kind of have felt the same way about Jessie's case. This story just breaks my heart, but let me know what you guys think. If you have lived in Wenatchee or live in Wenatchee, let me know if you've even heard about Cynthia's disappearance. I would love to know in the comments. There's not a lot of information out there, but I did what I could, and we're kind of all about that on this channel, is spreading awareness about smaller missing persons cases. And yeah, that's it for me today, you guys. I will see you on the next video. Until then, stay safe and stay aware.